I normally don't do this. I normally don't post reaction videos to specific NFL or NBA games. That's really not what this channel is. I mean, sometimes I'll give you guys my thoughts on a Monday about what happened with the Saints the day before, but since I've got an abundance of free time now, since I'm no longer working the sports book, I decided to do an extra video this weekend to express my disgust with the New Orleans Saints. I want you to take a look at this. I posted this message in one of the Saints groups that I'm in before the Pelicans game last night. Now, this was about 18 hours before kickoff this afternoon. Turns out my prediction was wrong. The Saints weren't down 7-0. They weren't down 10-0 at the end of the first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, the Saints were down 21-0. Well, Casey, I thought you said that you weren't watching the Saints anymore. Yeah, I didn't. I meant what I said last week. I didn't watch the game today, but I was being constantly updated because I was watching NFL Red Zone. I didn't have to watch this game to know what I already know. I didn't have to watch this game to know what I have known since last year. My prediction wasn't totally wrong either because the Superdome completely turned on the Saints. Every time Derek Carr touched the ball in the first half, he was booed off the field. Hell, he was booed off the field during pregame introductions. Now, I'm not sure how the boos translated to the broadcast on television because according to multiple reports that I saw from people at the game, there was a mass exodus after the first quarter. According to Nick Underhill and several others, 60% of the crowd in the Superdome today consisted of fans of the Detroit Lions. Now, I cannot think of another time that that's happened. For 2 decades, New Orleans was considered one of, if not the toughest place to play in the NFL. Opposing teams, they were forced to prepare just for the crowd in New Orleans. The crowd in the Dome had that much of an impact on the game. Today, the Superdome, it's just become another road game for the Saints. In less than 2 years, Denise Allen has completely destroyed what it took Sean Payton and Drew Brees 15 years to build. In less than 2 years, Denise Allen has completely destroyed the culture in the locker room and the culture of the fan base. Like I've told you guys before, I used to look forward to NFL Sunday. I would spend the entire week anticipating what was going to happen on Sunday afternoon. I would wake up excited on Sunday morning. I have not been excited to watch the Saints play in 2 years. Dennis Allen has destroyed my outlook on this team, this franchise. And look, I don't mind losing. The Pelicans lost to the Bulls last night in a game that most fans thought that we were supposed to win. I didn't mind the Pels losing that game. Was it frustrating? Yeah. Did I want them to lose? No. But considering the fact that we were missing 3 of our best three-point shooters and the only three-point shooter that we had available last night is a rookie that can't play defense, I wasn't all that upset with the loss. The Pels have lost, I think, 10 games so far this season. They're 1 game above 500, but I'm okay with that because I know the Pels are building towards something. I know there's going to be growing pains. I know the bench is deep when everyone is healthy and everyone is getting healthy, and it's going to take some time for Willie Green to figure out his rotations. I know they're learning a new offense that's being implemented by James Borrego. I expect there to be losses. I'm okay with losing when I know the team is working towards something. That is not the case with the Saints. This front office, they are trying to stop a championship window from shutting that was slammed shut 3 years ago. This front office is stuck living in the past. I'm listening to Mickey Loomis on WWL last week. After the Saints went 0 for 5 in the red zone in Atlanta last week, Mickey Loomis goes on WWL and he is praising the Saints offense. We ranked 12th in offensive yards. This team is great. Yeah, right after Mickey Loomis confirmed his insanity, he followed up that ridiculous statement with, "In the past, we've been really good in the red zone. We have 17 years of history to prove that case." I know Mickey Loomis is getting older. Hell, Mickey Loomis isn't getting older. He's already there. And I know when some dudes get older, they have a tendency to relive the past. They have a tendency to relive their glory days. And that's okay, but I hate to be the guy to deliver the bad news to Mickey Loomis, but Drew Brees ain't walking through that door. Sean Payton ain't walking through that door. You are 100% responsible for creating this dump, and no one you have in the building is qualified to clean up the mess. This team is going nowhere fast. And for some reason, there seems to be this hesitancy with the front office to accept it. There seems to be this hesitancy with the front office to admit that they fucked things up. Not once, but twice. Your first mistake was promoting Denise Allen to head coach. There's this old saying, I believe it's a quote from Maya Angelou or some other philosopher that's a hell of a lot smarter than I am. Well, Casey, is the quote, keep doing what you're doing? No, that quote came from a certified doofus. That quote came from a dude who watched his quarterback throw 3 interceptions in the first half. The quote I'm talking about says, when someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Dennis Allen, he had already shown the NFL who he was as a head coach. This dude isn't just bad, he is historically bad. I'm talking about Dennis Allen being so bad, he ranks near the top of the list of the worst head coaches in the history of the NFL. From 2012 to 2014, Denise won 8 games in Oakland. Now, just to be clear, the NFL, they didn't shorten the season. The league didn't shut down because Fauci convinced the country to be so afraid of germs that they locked themselves in their homes. From 2012 to 2014, Denise Allen won 8 out of 36 games. I'm assuming that's why Mickey Loomis considered last season to be a success. Look at this improvement. He went from winning 8 games in 3 years to winning 7 games in 1 season. The second mistake that Mickey Loomis made was allowing the private that is pretending to be the general to convince him to give Derek Carr $150 million. This is another scenario where that same quote applies. We had 9 seasons of evidence. We had 9 seasons of Derek Carr showing the league exactly who he is. Throughout last season, I heard the same excuse. All Dennis Allen needs is a quarterback. If he had a quarterback, the Saints would be unbeatable. Okay, well, you have your quarterback now. Not only do you have the quarterback that you wanted, the NFL gave you an extra blessing by handing you the easiest schedule in the league. You're also playing in the worst division in the league. Up until last week, you had one of the healthiest rosters in the league. Everything, I mean everything, was going your way. If Sean Payton was coaching this team, the Saints would be 9-3 right now, if not better. Hell, if Ron Rivera was coaching this team, the Saints would be 7-5, maybe even 8-4. You give Bill Belichick this roster, the Saints would already have the division won. But when you have this team being led by Private Allen, they are sitting at 5-7 and the season is essentially over. Falcons have a 2-game lead in the NFC South, and to be honest with you, I don't see the Saints winning another game this season. Matter of fact, I hope the Saints don't win another game this season. Now, this concept seems hard to grasp for some people, but sometimes you've got to be willing to lose in the short term in order to win in the long term. What ended up happening today against the Lions, that was worst case scenario. On the surface, it appears that the team refused to give up. It appears that the players were fighting for Dennis Allen. Now, the players did refuse to give up. That part is true, but they were not fighting for Dennis Allen. They were fighting for each other. And those aren't my words. Those words came directly from Alvin Kamara last week in a press conference. This season is over. This season was over in September when you allowed Private Allen to continue to pretend to be a general. This upcoming draft is deep. There will be plenty of quarterbacks available. Saints need to lose. They need to get the highest draft pick possible, and they need to draft their quarterback of the future. It's that simple. Well, Casey, what about Derek Carr? They are locked into his contract for at least 2 more years. Derek Carr doesn't have the ability to accurately throw seeds to starving birds. Now, I have never been an NFL general manager. I have 0 experience in this area, but this is how I would approach Derek Carr. First, you have the option to sit your young quarterback for a season to learn behind Derek Carr. Well, let me rephrase that. You have the option to sit your young quarterback for a season and keep him far away from Derek Carr. But if you wanted to start him right away, if you wanted to start him week one, this is how I would approach Derek Carr. Now, I don't know if this is even possible. I don't know the language of his contract, so this is just purely hypothetical. This is how I would approach Derek Carr. Dude, you got one of two options here. One, you can be the highest paid third string quarterback in the league. You can sit out your contract, collect the guaranteed money that you're owed from us, and once your contract expires, your NFL career is essentially over. You'll be 35, 36 years old. You'll be forgotten because you wouldn't play a game for 2 or 3 years. You'll be rich, you'll be wealthy, but your NFL career will be over. Or you can go with option 2. We can figure out a way to restructure this contract to make it more appealing on the trade market. We can trade you for a new set of garbage cans and you can attempt to extend your NFL career with another team. Now again, I don't know if that's even possible, but what I do know is the Saints are never winning with Derek Carr. And look, I am not blaming Derek Carr for the problems in New Orleans. Derek Carr is the symptom. Derek Carr is not the problem. I feel like he takes too much of the blame unfairly from the fan base when the real problem is Dennis Allen. If we wake up tomorrow morning and Dennis Allen hasn't been fired by the Saints, it's going to be incredibly disappointing. You cannot run this back for another season. You can't keep doing what you're doing and expect different results. And while we're in the mood to fire people, Mickey Loomis needs to be fired too. This organization, it is in desperate need of new leadership. They need new voices. They need new strategies. They need new ideas. This organization needs life. I don't even get mad about the Saints anymore. I have become so disengaged with my team. I just no longer have any more emotion to give. That is what Dennis Allen does to a franchise. According to fans of the Las Vegas Raiders, it's also what Derek Carr does to a franchise. It's over. It's over. And don't give me the excuse a rebuild isn't guaranteed. We should try to win now. Yeah, that's true. There's no guarantees in a rebuild, but we do have one guarantee. We are guaranteed to lose with Dennis Allen. That is not hyperbole, that is a fact. There needs to be sweeping changes throughout this organization, and those changes need to happen now. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. Appreciate you guys listening. We're going to be back to normal tomorrow. I'm looking into a story right now about the NFL and their My Cause, My Cleats initiative. Apparently, one of the players wore cleats that promoted fellowship of Christian athletes. The shit fucks. They were offended by it because he was promoting the cross instead of dipping his cleats in the rainbow. We might get into that tomorrow. I'm going to look into it more tonight. Either way, we will be back to normal tomorrow. In the meantime, if you know of a better solution to the problems in New Orleans, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.